The name Dollar General has become a household name, especially in the rural and small-town areas of the United States. The company has grown to become a location where most people visit when attempting to find products at discounted prices with convenience. However, behind the alluring prospect of low prices often lurks an underbelly of questionable business practices that have far-reaching consequences. Today, we'll expose Dollar General's dark business, how it exploits the most vulnerable populations with its practices, the shocking mistreatment of employees, and several other legal battles it has been part of. But what happens when the quest for profit starts to harm the very communities that Dollar General claims to serve? Beyond the facade of low prices and convenient locations, there lies a disturbing reality that reveals just how far the company will go to cut corners. Dollar General's business model is based on carrying a wide variety of products at competitive prices and positioning its stores in underserved communities. It's how the retailer has grown to reach every state and, even more so, some of the poorest parts of the country. But the pledge of discount goods is often an illusion. Many consumers, like Lori Hartline, have found there are discrepancies in the price on the store shelves and what is charged at checkout counters. As Hartline testified, she noticed her brand of cat litter had increased from $8.95 to $10 despite the fact that the shelf tag had not been changed. She asked the cashier to correct the price, and after that, it was explained that the actual price had been increased, although the sign had not changed. Hartline repeatedly experienced discrepancies between store prices and prices at checkout throughout the month of her vigil. She further demonstrated that such a course of dealing was common. This company's outrageous and ongoing price verification audit failures, where advertised prices did not match charges at the cash register, have been exposed through reports in several states, including Ohio. This practice not only fools consumers but also runs in brazen violation of the letter and spirit of the law on standards of fair advertising and has prompted lawsuits against the company in multiple jurisdictions. Putting aside the legal issues that this practice has brought about, Dollar General proceeds with it, situating profitability above adherence to regulation and customer trust. While consumers grapple with inflated prices at the checkout counter, Dollar General's legal troubles paint an even darker picture. The company's deceptive pricing practices have not only drawn the ire of regulators but also triggered costly legal battles that reveal a troubling pattern of corporate behavior. Price discrepancies in Dollar General have begun to show themselves more clearly. Instead of any backlash, the business has received a series of legal problems and financial penalties due to its deception regarding pricing strategies. For example, in Ohio, the Attorney of State filed a suit against Dollar General on account of its deliberate practice of overcharging its customers. The case was settled with an agreement from the firm for an over $1 million payout. The majority of these fines went to nutritional assistance programs and charities fighting hunger. While these sanctions sound quite significant, they are actually a drop in the bucket compared to the company's huge margins. These financial punishments were just a cost of doing business for Dollar General, not an effective punishment, and thus have not caused the company to change its questionable business behaviors. The total lack of accountability has generated general outrage among consumers and practitioners. Mark Dan, the attorney representing Lori Hartline in a class action suit, has stated categorically, Dollar General's actions are nothing more than a calculated effort to steal small amounts of money from millions of people every single day. Hartline claimed that Dollar General's pricing practices were no different from false advertising, which had the potential to cause tens of thousands of consumers financial loss. Notwithstanding the cumulative weight of 1,000 or so pages of public records related to its violations, Dollar General has kept up the same pattern of behavior, raising many questions about the true value of this organization's claims to ethical business practice. All this intentional targeting of poor communities has brought serious questions into view regarding the business practices of Dollar General. According to Stacy Mitchell, a researcher at the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, the chain systematically targets those kinds of communities that are backward economically and politically and then takes advantage of their vulnerability. Flooding such areas with stores greatly reduces the prospect of any local business, especially food stores, being viable. This calculated strategy perpetuates poverty in those residents' reliance on Dollar General, even as they are misled about the prices. The most despicable element of Dollar General's operation model is this exploitative approach toward vulnerable communities. In the process, the chain profits from the very poverty it is ostensibly trying to alleviate. It brings families and communities down into a cycle of dependency and economic stagnation. While local businesses fold and job opportunities shrink, these communities are made to rely further on Dollar General for staples, setting in place the company's stronghold. The proliferation of Dollar General stores in small towns and rural areas impacts the very core of local economies. Dollar General forces out other businesses, such as grocery stores, due to the fact that so many local businesses can't compete with the low prices and large stock of Dollar General. This has led to many local businesses having to close down, meaning fewer jobs and less fresh, healthy food. Many times, the Dollar General store is the only retailer for miles in any direction and is usually the primary supplier of goods and services to that community. This perpetuates a monopolistic position within that market, able to artificially set prices and product availability to further control consumer choices. In the long run, Dollar General's expansion has destroyed local economies. While local businesses shut their doors, the money that should have stayed within the community is siphoned into the bottom line of a national company. Not only does it weaken the economy of the community, but it also minimizes the community's economic resiliency. The corporate policies of Dollar General extend beyond stakeholder PR and community involvement, and its record vis-à-vis employees in its stores is anything but exemplary. Workers in Dollar General stores often face an intensive work environment, low wages, and a lack of support from management. Most claim they are forced to work for long hours without receiving wages that match this. In fact, salaried employees, in most cases, are expected to work up to 60 to 80 hours every week with no overtime allowance. The company's intentional staffing of retail stores with few workers has worsened the situation, thus overworking the existing ones without increasing salaries or offering support. The Dollar General business model is fully centered on an exploitative attitude toward its workforce, given that keeping labor costs as low as possible will give it the largest income. This has resulted in widespread discontent in the workforce, where the employees feel taken for granted, and the workload is excessive. In the COVID-19 pandemic, these conditions worsened. Workers were more exposed to danger with the certainty of aggressive customers and poor safety measures. Given these difficulties faced by workers, Dollar General has done little to curb these issues, and the minimalism in such a case would serve to further solidify that the company realizes that financial gain is more important than worker welfare. Though Dollar General has faced numerous legal battles and associated fines throughout its history, the company has stood firm on its business practices. In monetary terms, the sanctions are significant and are dwarfed by the corporation's phenomenal profitability, meaning such measures cannot act as an effective check on further unethical practices. Since 2017 alone, Dollar General has paid upwards of $20 million in cumulative fines levied by a variety of state and federal agencies. Such fines have spanned a wide range of violations, including deceptive pricing practices, non-compliance with state statutes regarding product verification, and expired product sales. Despite these financial repercussions, Dollar General continues most of these unethical practices, seeing the fines as another cost of operations. The company's refusal to modify its business plan based on these legal hurdles has perpetuated calls for heavier penalties. Experts suggest this could include temporarily suspending activities in some areas or holding corporate executives personally accountable to ensure serious reform. Despite mounting legal and financial pressures, Dollar General's expansion strategy shows no signs of slowing down. As the company continues to build its vast network of stores, the broader impact on communities and local economies reveals a stark picture of how far-reaching its influence has become. Dollar General has developed a vast network across the country, and despite what seems like an unobstructed path, it continues to expand, leaving significant consequences in its wake. The effects of this relentless expansion are felt in the retail sector and the communities it targets. Thanks to its success, Dollar General has become a major force in retail, with discount stores accounting for a large percentage of new store openings in the United States. These openings have profound effects on both urban and rural areas, as Dollar General focuses on economically poor communities. In metropolitan regions, it competes with other discount chains like Family Dollar and Dollar Tree, further embedding itself in low-income neighborhoods. This rapid proliferation has, in some cases, led to the creation of food deserts, where residents lack access to fresh, whole foods. This issue is especially concerning in communities of color, as discount stores often replace grocery stores, leaving few options for affordable and nutritious meals. In many rural areas, Dollar General's expansion has been even more significant, targeting small towns and remote cities where traditional retailers are either unwilling or unable to establish themselves. This development has led to a decline in local businesses and a degradation of local economies, with residents increasingly relying on Dollar General for their basic needs. Dollar General's aggressive expansion has met with growing resistance across the country. Communities have pushed back against the company's incursions, recognizing the harm these stores do to local economies and the character of their neighborhoods. In the past 4 years alone, 75 municipalities have blocked Dollar General's plans for new stores, citing negative impacts on small businesses and limited access to healthy food. The Institute for Local Self-Governance has emerged as one of Dollar General's most vocal critics, along with other retail chains of similar nature, highlighting how these firms exploit socioeconomic and racial disparities. Their report, The Discount Retail Uprising, outlines the damaging effects these businesses have on local commerce and the increase in food deserts in affected communities. This grassroots movement against Dollar General aligns with broader efforts to promote local entrepreneurship and create healthier communities. By opposing the development of discount retailers, neighborhoods seek better access to nutritious food, more job opportunities, and stronger regional economies. In the face of mounting criticism, Dollar General continues to defend its business practices. The company argues that its stores provide essential services to the communities they serve by offering low-cost merchandise and access to goods in areas where other retailers are scarce. Dollar General claims that any discrepancies in pricing are accidental and insists it is committed to finding solutions to the issues that arise. However, these justifications ring hollow in the face of substantial evidence pointing to unethical practices. The persistence of price gaps, along with deliberate understaffing and employee exploitation, suggests that these problems are not isolated incidents but reflect deeper systemic issues. Moreover, Dollar General's focus on maximizing profits for shareholders at the expense of communities and employees raises serious moral concerns about corporate accountability. While the company may bring some economic benefits to the areas it serves, those benefits are outweighed by the negative impacts of its business operations. As Dollar General continues to expand, it finds itself under increasing scrutiny from consumers, attorneys, and community activists. Ongoing legal battles and growing opposition from neighborhoods suggest that the company may need to rethink its business model to maintain its position in the retail industry. One potential path for change could come from increased regulation and stricter enforcement of existing laws. Regulators may hold Dollar General accountable for its unethical practices and force the company to reform its operations. This could include stricter enforcement of pricing rules, higher fines for violations, and closer oversight of labor practices. Another possible shift could occur as public awareness of Dollar General's practices grows. As more people become informed about how the company exploits poor communities and its labor force, they may choose to shop elsewhere, leading to a loss in market share and pressure to change its ways. Regulatory bodies also play a critical role in this process. Despite clear infractions and consumer complaints, Dollar General has largely avoided meaningful regulatory consequences, raising concerns about the effectiveness of current consumer protection laws and the ability of agencies like the FTC and state attorneys general to hold large corporations accountable. These agencies are responsible for enforcing laws that protect consumers from unfair business practices, such as false advertising and pricing discrepancies. However, Dollar General's violations have persisted for years with little serious consequence. The fact that the company can afford to pay fines and continue its behavior suggests that the regulatory environment is inadequate for addressing this type of activity. Nevertheless, consumer advocates are pushing for stronger enforcement, including steeper fines, closer monitoring of retail practices, and more frequent unannounced inspections to ensure compliance with pricing laws. Additionally, regulatory agencies could work more closely with consumer advocacy groups to monitor and track systemic issues at companies like Dollar General. Reform could also involve new legislation aimed at addressing specific retail practices, such as clearer pricing regulations and tougher penalties for price discrepancies between advertised and checkout prices. These measures would help protect both consumers and small businesses that struggle to compete with larger corporations engaged in unethical practices. As Dollar General faces increasing pressure from regulators and changing consumer attitudes, the broader implications of its business practices become more apparent. Not only does this raise questions about the company's ethical stance, but it also highlights the troubling impact its operations have on public health and access to essential resources. One of the most alarming aspects of Dollar General's business model is its effect on food access and community health. As the company continues to move into rural and poor urban areas, local supermarkets are often replaced, further limiting access to fresh and healthy foods. The health implications for these communities, many of which are already considered food deserts, significant. Food deserts are areas where residents have very limited access to nutritious and affordable food. These neighborhoods tend to have a high concentration of convenience stores and fast food restaurants, but few or no supermarkets that carry fresh produce, meats, and dairy products. The presence of Dollar General in these areas exacerbates the problem, as their limited fresh food offerings are often lower in quality and more expensive than those found in traditional supermarkets. The consequences for public health are severe. Studies have shown that residents of food deserts are more likely to suffer from nutrition-related diseases such as obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. The lack of fresh food forces people to rely on processed foods high in sugars, salts, and unhealthy fats, which contribute to chronic health conditions. The replacement of local supermarkets with Dollar General stores also has significant economic and social ramifications. Local grocery stores often provide jobs and support the local economy in ways that national chains like Dollar General do not. When these local businesses close, the economic impact on the community can be devastating, leading to job losses and reduced economic opportunities. Some communities have started trying to develop other forms of food distribution, such as cooperative supermarkets and community-supported agriculture programs, to try to address these challenges. These programs aim to provide healthier and more accessible alimentary options at an affordable price, improving the strength of local farmers and producers. All too often, these efforts are typically undercut by the simple power of discount retailers that prop up their competitors with their low prices and broad range of products. Perhaps the most important ecological ones set aside are the societal and economic impacts of Dollar General's expansion. The spread of discount stores significantly contributes to the spread of suburban sprawl, since most of such stores are built on the outskirts of small towns and villages, therefore developing those grounds that previously went unused. This contributes not only to habitat destruction and loss of biodiversity but also to increasing the carbon footprint of those communities because residents have to travel much further to get to the stores. Products sold through discount stores also come with a considerable ecological cost. The production of most goods is cheap and for short-term use, increasing the volume of waste and growing pollution. Most discount stores carry a number of goods in the form of disposable plastics, low-quality electronics, and cheap clothing that are easily junked after brief use. This, in turn, produces massive quantities of waste that end up in landfills and further accelerates ecological destruction. In this regard, ecological destruction is accelerated further by the fact that, in most cases, low-priced retailers set up their businesses in locations that do not have sufficient levels of waste processing and recycling capacity. As a result, much of the waste produced by their activities and customers is not disposed of properly and goes on to contribute to increased ecological destruction. These environmental implications of dollar stores call for an integrated approach, including raising the bar on what products can be sold through dollar stores. For example, single-use plastics and other environmentally hazardous products can be banned by enacting laws that restrict their sale. Another point is that dollar stores can be obligated to provide recycling opportunities for the goods they sell, which reduces the levels of waste reaching landfills. The other approach is to adopt practices that encourage sustainable businesses across the dollar store industry. This may relate to promoting sales of quality and durable products, as well as environmentally friendly packaging and materials. In this respect, by following better sustainable practices, dollar stores would be able to reduce, at a minimum, the level of environmental nuisance while still providing low-priced commodities to customers. As with Dollar General and all dollar stores in general, consumer awareness is a major key toward the resolution of these problems. The more people are aware of the ways in which these stores can adversely affect their communities, the more likely they will be to act, supporting local businesses, seeking stronger regulations, or simply trying to shop elsewhere. Of course, one of the biggest challenges in raising consumer consciousness lies in the fact that dollar stores are seen everywhere as a necessary, even benevolent, presence within poor neighborhoods. To many consumers, such stores simply constitute an affordable alternative for basic goods, particularly in areas where other retail options do not exist. But, as the discussion above has tried to illustrate, the real cost of shopping at dollar stores usually lies behind poor checkout prices, poor working conditions, and degradation in local economies and environments. To counter this perception, consumer advocacy groups have a very important role to play in raising awareness among people regarding the larger ramifications of shopping from dollar stores. This can be done through public awareness campaigns, community events, and dissemination of information through social media and other channels. By exposing the true cost of such stores, advocates can help shift consumer behavior toward more sustainable and equitable options. Besides raising awareness, consumer advocacy can also drive change by pressuring companies like Dollar General to adopt more responsible business practices. This may be in the form of organized boycotts, petitions, and other forms of collective action, whereby mass consumer dissatisfaction will be demonstrated against the company's practices. When a group of consumers bands together to demand change, companies are often forced to respond to save their brand image and retain customer loyalty. What if there's a way for companies like Dollar General to not only acknowledge their impact but actively work towards a more ethical and sustainable future? While the focus of this discussion has been on negative Dollar General business practices, it is similarly important to consider a prospect for its corporate transformation. Greater public awareness of these issues continues to build an increasing expectation from businesses like Dollar General that they will change their ways and adopt more responsible and sustainable business models. The latter aspect can become a way forward toward betterment, considering the engagement in corporate social responsibility programs. CSR refers to the company practices and policies with respect to operating a business in a socially responsible manner by paying attention to the impact of the activities on employees, customers, local communities, and the environment. The example may be such things as workplace improvement in Dollar General, offering more green products, and giving money to the local communities where its stores are located. It could commit to paying employees a living wage, for instance, with benefits like healthcare and time off with pay. In such cases, employees would be treated with respect and dignity. That would obviously make lives so much better for workers but would also contribute to rounding up a more motivated and productive workforce. With the sale of greener merchandise, reducing waste, and making participation in recycling programs a priority, Dollar General could take steps to minimize its environmental footprint. The company could engage itself in some community development activities, such as donating to local schools, health clinics, and food banks, to tackle at least part of the severe social and economic challenges its communities face. The Novo Foundation thus leads in reforming corporate business, which may be beneficial not only to society but also to the company itself, as better commercial practices can lead to higher levels of customer loyalty, superior employee retention, and a stronger brand reputation. With CSR, Dollar General is in the position to be an industry leader in retail by proving that economic prosperity can be enjoyed while taking responsibility for the betterment of society. While the discussion here has focused on the negative aspects of Dollar General's business practices, it is equally relevant to consider the prospect of corporate change. In light of greater publicity about these issues, there have been louder calls for corporations such as Dollar General to seek change in their business model and incorporate more responsible and sustainable business operations. One such way in which reform may be achieved is through CSR. CSR, according to Investopedia, refers to business practices designed to make a firm's operation socially responsible in its treatment of all stakeholders, from personnel to clients, communities, and the environment. In the case of Dollar General, this may be everything from improving working conditions and offering greener products to investing in the communities in which it is located. Indeed, for example, Dollar General can pay its workers a living wage, provide benefits including medical and paid time off, and treat all its employees with dignity. This would go a long way in improving the lives of their employees, something that is quite important, and would help them attract and retain a better motivated and dynamic workforce. Second, Dollar General would have to stock more environmentally friendly products to reduce waste and, where possible, invest in some recycling programs that may help reduce its impact on the environment. It can as well invest some of the money in community development projects, like contributing to local learning institutions, health centers, and even food banks, thus helping solve some of the social and economic problems facing such communities. However, corporate reform is not just good for society, it makes business sense. Companies that become more socially responsible often find they have more loyal customers, retain key employees longer, and improve their brand identity. As a result of adopting CSR, Dollar General would be able to take the lead in the retail industry by showing that one can conduct business profitably and contribute positively to society. More importantly, consumers can be very effective agents of change. By becoming aware and making conscious choices as to what they buy and holding businesses accountable for their actions, many individuals have been able to change the course of corporate behavior. At the same time, businesses and governments are responsible for creating an environment in which responsible practices become normative rather than exceptional. This can include several strategies on the part of both, including education, policy reforms, and community involvement. The story of Dollar General concludes with a powerful reminder that it is corporate responsibility combined with our collective action that will allow our communities to safeguard the future of our planet. Together, we could build a world where healthy, sustainable, and affordable products are available to all, and where business activities nurture society in its entirety. It also contemplates an improvement in corporate behavior, consumers who are more aware, regulatory frameworks that are much stronger, and increased investments in the development of communities. Of course, all is not lost. The future needn't be so bleak. Through the joint efforts of consumers, businesses, and government agencies, we have the chance to craft a more just, fair, and viable retail future. We can build a future that ensures responsibility, transparency, and sustainability for the coming generations. In this place, business and development would march with environmental stewardship and social responsibility. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious.